So what if I told you that open-world survival craft games do not have to be in a 3D environment?
The game that I'm talking about is Beyond the Map.
Oh no, please help me, I'm beyond the map!
I have finished the current state of the game for 100%. For better structuring, I have divided this video into 4 different chapters, but first let me tell you a few things about the game. The game features classic survival game progression, where you have to obtain resources from the map to craft better gear and then complete the game by defeating the final boss. Wait a second. Not this one, but I don't want to spoil it. So let's get started with the game. In chapter 1 or the early game we will explore what this game is all about. When you create a new character you can choose between 3 different backgrounds: pirate, scholar and marine. Each of which has their own active and passive skill, but of course I chose a pirate, because...
Pirate.
So we start off the game by crafting ourselves the essentials, which is a wooden spear to protect ourselves against the enemies, a workbench to craft advanced tools, and a small camp that I built in the woods to serve as our starter base. Or never mind, let me just quickly build a house.
Perfect.
I then went back to the beach and dropped my first skill. In this game the enemies drop skill that you can then activate to place into your skill tree. After wandering around on the beach for a while, we find the sea bone that we were looking for, because it's an integral part for further upgrading our tools. With our new loot we headed back home and built ourselves the first crafting stations: the leatherworking table and the tailoring table. As expected, this game also has different kinds of armor categories: cloth, leather and steel armor. If you want to focus on magic, you would go for cloth. As an archer you would go for leather, and as a melee fighter you would go for steel armor. Building those stations fulfills the next 2 quests that we have in our quest log, and now we need to go and find some tin ore. Luckily we didn't have to look for long, as the tin ore was waiting for us at the river next to my house. With a lot of tin ore and also bronze ore, we headed back home and built the next 2 buildings: charcoal kiln and the furnace. Charcoal kiln produces coal out of wood, and the furnace is used to smelt ores into ingots. With our production chain running, we used the time to explore the next mechanic in the game, which is cooking. I then built the cooking cauldron and placed it outside, but of course you cannot cook in the rain, so I built this beautiful roof, which I'm 100% not ashamed of. The cooking itself is quite straightforward. You combine ingredients that give different bonuses on the attributes. You can choose to put several different ingredients in there to buff several attributes, or you only put 1 ingredient in there and only buff 1 attribute. However, the buff is not linear, so if you use the same ingredient twice, you won't get double the bonus. But then I was introduced to one of the best mechanics of this game. I have never seen that before and I love it. It's a storage system. You build 1 big chest, a stash it's called. Then you place other furniture around that, with which you can also access the stash. And you have 2 different kinds. One increases the stack size, and the other one increases the storage places that you have within the stash. As someone who hates inventory management in these survival games, I really love this system. But enough about the storage system. I upgrade the house again, and like magic, it's done. In the meantime I also built an anvil to craft better weapons and a sharpening thing to repair my gear. The next quest then was to equip uncommon items in all slots. And after running around and gathering some leather from the animals, I could craft the cloak that I was missing. With fully equipped green gear, I started to look for other crewmates, as the quest requested me to. At this point I was rocking an archer build and was having so much fun kiting the enemies. But then I was faced with my first boss fight, because the game fooled me. I wasn't getting a nice warm meal from my cook. He drowned and tried to kill me. I doubt that an archer build is the best option for this one. But on the other hand, I could kite the boss to the death and avoid getting hit. But in the end it was totally worth it, because I was giving my first legendary items. Unfortunately, the game didn't care that I was rocking an archer build and just gave me something with intelligence. Great, but as a quick side note, this has already been patched and the game tries to give you something that fits your playstyle. And if you're still watching at this point, congratulations, because you made it way past my average view time of only 30 seconds. Or maybe I should be proud of myself because I finally made a video that people like to watch. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for sticking by and watching the video. If you liked the video so far, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video. I really appreciate your support. And with killing the final boss, the demo ends at this point, and we can go back to our trusted Nordic longhouse and go into the next chapter. So in the second chapter we will explore the mechanics of the game further, and we started off by looking at our questline that requires us to smelt some silver, which we did in our furnace. This unlocks the recipe for the Spellforge. And in the Spellforge we can craft some enchantments for our weapons and for our armor, while also destroying the armor to gain some mana. And with this mana we can upgrade our equipment, which we did for the bow. But now the essence of the second chapter begins, and this is all about exploring other islands, because we are finally at the point where we can craft ourselves a raft to sail to the other islands. And how naive I was at that point in the game, because I thought it was easy. We will just build ourselves a raft, go to the other island and that's it, explore it a bit, come back with more resources. But that is not how it turned out. I came across these earth elementals and thought, well, I actually need an earth essence for this primordial essence, and I need that to craft myself a new cloak. But they were quite strong and they had this AoE attack which was quite hard to dodge, and there were many of them. So I was trying to kite them for quite a while, but I've died. That was the big problem, because I had all my resources that I need to craft a raft with me, because this whole splitting stacks etc. needs to be a little bit reworked. So I was missing the ladder. And how do you get ladder? Exactly, I needed to hunt. But not only this, I also need a knife, which I can't craft because I don't have the resources. And for the knife, I need some stone. So all in all, it was quite difficult to get again a raft, only to arrive at the island again at the worst place possible, because it's guarded by many different zombies and slimes, etc. So it's not a problem to go on the island and just run away from them. It's a problem to go back, turn the raft around and then sail away. But this didn't matter at that point, because I was just trying to go around the island, go to my raft, sail back to my home. But then there was this weird ghost that just run at you and explode, and it's very hard to dodge because they're so much faster. And I was just standing there because I thought, what should I drop to get this legendary thing? But this was the worst place on the island to just stand there and wait, because there is a ghost wolf. And the ghost wolf is faster than I am. Much faster. You cannot outrun him, you cannot kill him. Well, not at this point, because I was just way too weak, and there were these ghosts that are just chasing you and explode. So yes, naturally I died again. So back at home I will save you the time to watch me getting back stones, crafting a knife, crafting a weapon, to farm some animals, to get some leather, and this time also to get some linen, and then craft the raft again to end up at this point. So I picked up my stuff and was farming a bit, but then again the spirit wolf saw me, and yes, so I was trying to run away again. But I was running into water elementals, and then the wolf was also faster than me, so I tried to use my ability at some point, tried to dodge roll his attacks, and then I thought it's a great idea with all these monsters chasing me to just get on the raft and try to to quickly escape, but the raft was turning so slowly and was just not going forward that I died again. So I had to start all over, gather everything to build myself a raft again. So I did that, jumped on there and sailed back to the other island. But this time everything was in my favor. I could grab all my stuff, even have time to sort out my inventory because I was having some secondary armor on me, and take everything back to my home island. And then I just went on the rampage of my life to regain my honor and just clear all the beach from the zombies and the other monsters. So during all this time I didn't even notice that the sole objective of going to the island was to get these 3 new resources, but it took me probably like 3 or 4 hours of in-game time, and I didn't even get all the objectives of the quest. So I had to take the raft again to the other island and grab the other resources as well. So the cloth you get from the skeleton warriors that are in these pits with the bone constructs with these big machines. And in these pits you also find the ore veins, and on this island I found some iron. And with this quest complete, I need to craft the cloak of the elements. And for this cloak we actually need all the elements. So earth, fire, water, air. And with that we immediately start in chapter 3, where it's all about getting the elements to craft ourselves the cloak of elements. And I remembered at that time that on this island there is earth and water, so we need to go to other islands to find the remaining ones. And just as a quick side note, I actually found out how the teleportation system works at that point. So you just build these teleportation circles and you can port from one to the other one wherever you are, as long as you are on a teleportation circle. Since I couldn't find any element other than earth and water on the western island, I went to the northern island, and there I immediately found some frost elements. There were no other elements on this island apart from frost, so I went to the island to the east where I found some fire elements, but unfortunately they didn't drop me any fire essence, so I didn't know that this is a certain drop rate, and I thought when you clear like every element you at least get one, but this was not the case, so I had to wait for them to respawn. But I also found the wind elements more to the east on this island, and there the air essence dropped. So I went back home and started my own farm where the carrots actually already grew. But the farming system in the game really needs some work to do, because you have just carrots at this point, but maybe later in the game there are some other added foods, and so far they don't give a lot of benefits, so it's really not worth the hassle. After exploring the whole island in the southeast, I went back to the island in the north, where the fire elements finally respawned, and after clearing them I got my first fire essence. And with that I could teleport back to my crafting station and finally craft the cloak of elements. And with that, welcome back to our trusted longhouse, where we will jump now directly into the last chapter, which is all about grinding, leveling, changing, and then defeating the final boss. So you know, when I went up to the islands where I was expecting the final boss, there were a lot of skeletons in this winter area. And the problem with my current build was that there were mages which had attacks that were not dodgeable. They would just connect directly to the character, deal damage, and due to the low health I had actually no chance against them, because my build was all about dodging, kiting, etc. So I went on gathered all the armor weapons I had for a melee build and then tried to combat them with the sword and the heavy armor, and it worked much better. So I was having great success, was farming for quite a while, and then I went to the top and fought the final boss. The boss dropped the necromantic tomb, which will be automatically used when needed. So if you like this video format, don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss any future videos. I hope you enjoyed Beyond the Map in 15 minutes or less.